Well, major crimes detectives have arrested 2 men in connection with that fatal shooting outside the Palomino in North Spokane. We now know this man, 21-year-old Eduardo Villagomez, a student at Eastern Washington University, was an innocent bystander when he was killed during a late-night shootout last week. KXLY4's Jeff Humphrey broke this story on his Twitter account today. And Jeff, these 2 men, including a different EWU student, not charged with murder yet?
No, at this point, Nadine, Spokane police only asking for the charge of drive-by shooting, and that is an indication, Miss. The detectives are not certain if the 2 men that they now have in custody actually fired the shot that killed Villagomez. The bullet started flying after some bad blood inside the club spilled out into the parking lot around closing time. At least 3 men armed with pistols started exchanging shots, and the victim, Eduardo Villagomez, was caught in the crossfire.
Sometimes, unfortunately, that's what happens in these type of incidents is the rounds don't go where they're intended to go and find innocent victims instead.
Police say one of the suspects in custody, Kwame Bates, took cover with another man later identified as LaShawn Jameson behind this bullet-riddled Chrysler 300. Detectives say as those 2 acquaintances swapped gunfire with a 3rd suspect, Villagomez was inadvertently killed. In the days after the shooting, investigators released these surveillance photos of persons of interest to KXLY. Bates says that's the first time he realized police were looking for him and that an innocent bystander had been shot.
And that gentleman came forward to us and told us how he was involved. We were able to put some other information together at that point, but we are still looking for additional suspects right now.
And so now Bates and Jameson are charged with a crime of drive-by shooting, and each being held in lieu of a $100,000 bond. Chris Phelps, he's Bates' attorney. He says that his client was only acting out in self-defense here out in front of the Palomino that night, and now he is overcharged in this case. Jameson, he was on the roster of the Eastern Washington University football team, but since, because of these charges, has now been dropped from the team.
So, Jeff, why no murder charges at this point?
Well, Bates himself, he can avoid a murder charge entirely if the 9mm that he voluntarily turned over to the Spokane Police Department does not match the ballistics of the slug that was recovered from the victim during his autopsy. That's if police were lucky enough to find that slug. Bates also has a concealed weapons permit, which means it's legal for him to carry that gun, and an indication that up until now, Bates has managed to stay out of serious trouble. Reporting live in North Spokane, Jeff Humphrey, KXLY4.
All right, thank you, Jeff.